Fighting for his life on the distant, poison-covered world of CArenelion IV, Obi-Wan Kenobi was stuck between a rock and a hard place. His famed lightsaber skills, which he had honed in the years after his master, Qui-Gon Jinn's death, were no use, as his enemies didn't wield normal blaster rifles. Instead, their guns shot metal projectiles, and Kenobi's lightsaber simply couldn't deflect them without shards of molten metal striking his face, chest, and arms. It was only a matter of time before he'd be critically wounded, or worse, killed. And that's when Kenobi thought of one of the smartest, dirtiest, most capitalistic ruses he could use. So what did Kenobi do? And how exactly did it involve the Republic's own capitalist ways? Join me, your host Lim, as we answer these questions and more in today's Underrated Moment. Before we get going, I wanted to remind you that we're still holding our 10,000 subscriber lightsaber giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe, like, and then leave a comment down below in order to enter. Now, on to today's story. The war between the two factions of CArenelion IV, called the Closed and the Open, had been waged for generations. And now they had brought that conflict to the doorsteps of a sacred warehouse, filled with relics of the planet's history from a time before the Great Cataclysm. Those that were called the Closed wanted to destroy it and put an end to everyone's nostalgia for the days before the Poison Fog, when CArenelion IV was a powerful interstellar culture. And their rivals, the faction called the Open, wanted to retrieve it so that they could rebuild the planet back to its former glory. But in the midst of the war, Obi-Wan Kenobi and his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, weren't sure that they would survive. They had arrived on the planet only a short while ago, and their ships were both destroyed in the process. No matter which side won, the Jedi wouldn't have been able to escape, and it'd only be a short time before the natives would hunt them down. But Kenobi had an idea. Deep within the warehouse, there was an old communications kit. If he could somehow transmit a message to the Republic, Kenobi thought that he and his apprentice might live on to see another day. After Anakin applied his engineering skills and repaired the communications device, Kenobi sent him away and broadcasted a transmission to a Republic strike force that was positioned for immediate hyperspace response. And once he had finished, Kenobi took his hand from the transmitter button and waited. The sound of thunderous bombardments continued to shake the ground outside and rumble the thick stone walls of the warehouse around them. With massive floating airships on one side and nimble speeders on the other, the Closed and the Open seemed evenly matched. And as the number of bodies mounted on each side, the Jedi couldn't tell who would win. But then, something happened. The green, poisonous clouds that filled the sky above the valley parted, and the nearby star shined through. The Closed and Open soldiers stopped fighting and looked up, marveling at something they had only heard rumors of: sunlight. As they tried to make sense of it all, a loud, metallic voice boomed from overhead, speaking in Galactic Basic. "Cease all hostilities. Repeat, all hostilities must cease immediately." The Republic and its navy had arrived. Plunging through the atmosphere, 5 Republic light assault cruisers descended. Even Anakin was shocked by the immediate response from the transmission. "How did you get the fleet to come here? I thought the Republic didn't care about this place," he said in amazement. As Ki-Adi-Mundi and a handful of other Jedi tended to the wounded, Republic soldiers handed out medical supplies. When he looked at Anakin, Obi-Wan let out a cunning secret. "I told them we had discovered that the unusual atmosphere on the planet had high concentrations of Tabana gas. They're here to secure it." Tabana gas. It was one of the rarest resources in the entire galaxy. In fact, it was the very thing that made Bespin such a sought-after territory, and the reason why the Imperial Army invaded it shortly after the destruction of the first Death Star. Kenobi ended up playing the Republic's own greed against itself. By broadcasting that the world of CArenelion IV had the valuable gas on its surface, Kenobi knew that they wouldn't allow a group of small-minded natives, like the Open and Closed factions, to destroy it. So, They dispatched their army and a handful of the most powerful Jedi of this generation to secure it. Just like his apprentice, Obi-Wan was worried by the corruption and the hypocrisy of the Senate. And since the Jedi Order itself served them, he was rightly worried about the Jedi's role in the galaxy as well. But unlike Anakin, who would later use that doubt to fuel his rage in the dark side, Kenobi simply accepted the galaxy for what it was, and continued to follow the Force. But on this day, he would use the Senate's own greed against them, in order to save the lives of the warring open and closed factions. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Underrated Moments. I hope you're enjoying this series on Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker's journey to CArenelion IV. This is another classic moment that I think really shows us why Obi-Wan Kenobi is such a great tactician. Although he proved he was more than capable enough of defeating the enemies with his lightsaber, even though they did have metallic bullets at their disposal, Kenobi instead decided to use his cunning and his ability to out-strategize his opponents in order to win. What do you guys think of this? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be back with more Obi-Wan Kenobi videos soon. See you guys next time.